Tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
All of the measures that can control COVID-19 are the best measures to use to deal with the variants.
Numbers to the edge. Also,
we are so relieved. We are waiting for this day.
Good.
Ahead of schedule, BC's vaccination rollout ramps up with a new way to book your shot. And
most of the places that I've requested to view are sold before I actually get a foot out the door.
the rush for real estate hits small town BC.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Mike is away tonight. Well, the P1 COVID variant first found in Brazil is now taking off like wildfire in British Columbia. A total of 737 cases, mostly in Vancouver Coastal and Fraser Health. As Briar Stewart tells us, that number doubled in just 4 days.
In Vancouver, some got outside early today to enjoy the sun, while others lined up for a COVID test. BC is having a surge in cases.
And so we need to know more.
This professor estimates that about half of the province's cases are variant strains and 20% of those are P1. She believes people should be told more about how it's spreading.
We don't really have enough data yet to understand if it's a large group settings, indoors, lots of close contact that is the real risk, or if it's really rapidly transmitting.
P1, which has ravaged Brazil, has taken hold in BC. Whistler was shut down after a few hundred cases were detected there. Today, Alberta also reported 2 P1 outbreaks, including one linked to a large employer with multiple sites across Western Canada.
A lot is still unknown about the P1 variant, but research suggests it can be up to 2 times more transmissible. According to the BC Centre for Disease Control, the strain could reinfect somebody who's already had COVID, and vaccines might not work as well against the variant.
Doctors say all the variants are leading to more patients ending up in the ICU.
We are seeing less elderly people getting that sick, but that's now been replaced by seeing people between the ages of 20 to 50 now that are getting COVID and getting quite ill.
BC has rolled out more restrictions, including closing indoor dining, but not everyone is following the rules.
Get out! Get out!
This video shows one of the 2 restaurants that's had their licenses suspended.
But that's how they want to unfold the agenda.
Today, a small crowd protested the restrictions, but they didn't receive much support from the sidelines.
Yeah, I think it's pretty silly. We're all getting the vaccine, so we should, finish the stretch.
But with cases climbing, it could still be a few difficult months ahead. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
So we told you the Brazil variant has doubled, but what about the other ones? The province is now sitting at 916 new cases of variants of concern. There's been a total of nearly 3,600. This includes the 737 cases of the P1 variant. There are also nearly 1,900 new cases of COVID-19. Most of them continue to be in the Vancouver Coastal Health and Fraser Health regions. Sadly, there have been 23 new COVID-19 related deaths since Thursday. And as Briar mentioned, business licenses for 2 Vancouver restaurants have been suspended after they defied COVID-19 health orders. The licenses of Corduroy in Kitsilano and Gusto in Olympic Village have been suspended until April 20th because both continued to offer indoor dining. On Saturday, the VPD says it issued a full closure notice to Corduroy, but the restaurant remained open after that. In a video, the owner says is speaking to a bylaw officer as unmasked customers inside start chanting, "Get out." Gusto's owner says it will comply with the license suspension, but he hopes the government reconsiders because restaurants are suffering. Well, the Vancouver Canucks' battle against COVID-19 is getting tougher. 17 of the team's players are now on the NHL's COVID-19 protocol list. Left-winger Niels Höglander was added to the list today. Multiple reports have said the P1 variant, again first identified in Brazil, is suspected to be involved in the outbreak. But the Canucks and NHL have not commented publicly on test results. 4 of the team's games have been postponed so far, and the Calgary Flames website says Thursday's game versus Vancouver is postponed as well. Well, a bit of good news. BC is moving into the next phase of COVID-19 vaccinations with online booking tools launching province-wide tomorrow. As Isabelle Regem reports, it will only be available to those who are eligible to get the shot. If that's not you, you'll have to wait your turn.
We are so relieved. We are waiting for this day.
Good, yeah. We're so relieved.
Spending Easter Monday getting a vaccine might not typically sound like a joyful event, but this year has been far from typical. 1 year into the pandemic, those getting a shot at this Burnaby vaccination clinic consider it a great way to bookend the long weekend.
It's nice. I'm happy.
And how does it feel to be vaccinated? What does it mean to you?
Excited.
The vaccine rollout is moving forward sooner than expected. People aged 71, born in 1950 or earlier, will be able to book an appointment starting tomorrow at 8 a.m. That's also when the online booking system launches province-wide.
There will be a lot of interest tomorrow, a lot of people registering, but we're asking people who are close to being able to book to register tomorrow, and then we're going to have a system in place that's going to allow people to register and then be informed when it's their turn to book.
Making a booking over the phone will still be an option, but the province says the online portal and single call center will replace the 5 regional call centers that are currently being used. The rollout is also ramping up for the AstraZeneca vaccine for those aged between 55 to 65, and that has London Drugs launching its own online booking platform. 20 locations in the Lower Mainland will offer shots, but supply is limited. While it's unclear the total number of appointments available, we expect it will be in the thousands. As the company says, 2,200 doses will be distributed to locations today alone, with more coming in the next weeks.
I'll go to get my next one in 4 months, and then I'm sure everything will be fine.
So far, nearly 19% of British Columbians have received that first vaccine. And if BC supply is delivered as scheduled, the province says any adult who wants to get vaccinated will be able to get their first dose by the end of June. Isabelle Regem, CBC News, Burnaby.
A man has died after an early morning fire near the Surrey Delta border. Firefighters arrived just before 6 a.m. to find the basement suite in flames. The house is attached to the Sun Farm Market on 117 B Street. Crews pulled one man out of the fire, but he did not survive. According to Surrey Fire, the suite didn't have working smoke alarms. 4 people living in the upstairs part of the house escaped safely. Crews are still investigating the cause of the fire. Well, about a year and a half before BC's next municipal elections, Vancouver's nonpartisan association has chosen its candidate to run for mayor, and it's a familiar face. 3-term Park Board Commissioner John Coupar is entering his 10th year as an elected politician. Coupar is confident he and the NPA can build a solid team before the election. He says one of his priorities is to stop allowing sewage into Falls Creek. As park commissioner, he was a supporter of the Blodell Conservatory and voted to phase out the display of cetaceans in Stanley Park. Coupar has also been critical of the response to the homeless camp in Strathcona Park. Meteorologist Johanna Wagstaffe joins us now, and I can see the sun shining on you. It's been like that all day.
It's been a gorgeous Monday, Anita, right across most of the province, actually, as we share in high pressure. I found spring in my neighborhood. I think I've got the one cherry blossoms tree in the neighborhood. It is a chilly day, though, out there. I want to show you the current temperatures, not quite hitting the double digits in Metro Vancouver, hanging on to a 9 at YVR. A little warmer out towards the valley, Abbotsford at a 12, 13 in through Hope, and 10s down towards the southern Gulf Island and Victoria. And we had frost this morning, but those blue skies certainly making it feel like spring. We get to keep the sunshine for one more day, Anita, before I've got to bring some midweek showers back. So I'll time that all out coming up.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Joe. Well, in communities across the province and across the country, the real estate market has seen rapid rising prices. As Jacqueline Hansen reports, that's had quite an impact, particularly in smaller locations like in Courtenay, BC.
An hour southwest of Ottawa, the real estate market in the small town of Perth is booming.
We have noticed a lot of Ottawa, Toronto families moving in.
House prices are heating up. From February of last year to this year, prices in the area increased more than 50%. In mid-March, Barb Armstrong and her husband put their house up for sale.
We thought, well, jeepers, maybe we should go for it now.
In 1 week, they had 35 viewings and 11 offers. The winner, $150,000 over asking and no conditions, a type of deal that's usually only seen in big city markets.
But it's these sort of satellite cities of larger cities that are seeing big increases.
This expert says people who have been working from home during the pandemic have spent the past year saving, and now they're going shopping for bigger spaces further away.
So you have a whole lot of pent-up money chasing very few houses, and they're able to finance those with record low interest rates.
We've spent
good for sellers, but not so for some buyers, like Lars Reese Hansen. He sold his home in Comox on Vancouver Island in the fall in order to buy one he could better afford to retire in.
Most of the places that I've requested to view are sold before I actually get a foot out the door.
He expanded his search a ferry ride away to Powell River, but even there, prices jumped nearly 30% over the past year.
I now look at my retirement plans and I'm questioning whether or not I will be able to realize them.
The market is so tight in remote Powell River, Ian Jackson and his wife took a leap of faith when they bought their new house.
Bit of a scary moment, too. It still is, because we still haven't seen the place.
They sold their North Vancouver home in February.
Pretty central.
And bought this one after just a virtual tour and paid over asking, leaving the big city behind and bringing some of its real estate frenzy along with them. Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, Toronto.
A worrying trend across the country, rising cases of COVID, swamping hospitals and testing capacity. The latest on the ground in Alberta coming up. Thank you for staying with us during our commercial-free live stream. Okay, a goat in Newfoundland has become a bit of a celebrity thanks to an unusual habit. Turnip is one of 2 known fainting goats in that province. And when she gets a fright, she topples over. The CBC caught up with the goat and her owners at their farm.
So that's Turnip. So she's our 4-year-old fainting goat.
Fainting goat.
Yeah, that's right.
Is it as funny as it sounds?
It is.
Can be.
So she's one of only 2 in the whole province, so she's a little bit of a celebrity.
Yeah, we have a bunch of neighborhood kids that love coming over and feeding the animals, and they get a big kick out of the 2 goats, especially Turnip.
They immediately want to come and see her.
Yeah, they immediately want to see a faint or ask if it hurts.
Yeah, that's the question. So a fainting goat has a startle reflex, which causes the muscles in her legs to lock up. And while it sounds like it can be kind of scary and aggressive, it mostly means that she tips over for about a second and she only falls 2 feet. We did research there and it doesn't hurt them at all. She's gone for about 10-20 seconds at most, and then she's back on her feet ready to cause trouble. This is obviously not something that would happen in nature. A fainting goat would not survive millions of years ago. Yay! Good job! So this is a domesticated breed, and obviously goats have been domesticated for quite some time. This made this breed of goat easier to catch. If you had a herd of goats out in a field, these guys would tip over upon startling. So there's your meat goat right there. Come on, guys. Well, we knew that we wanted to have a homestead for our children and for our family. So I did a lot of research into the most docile breeds. And while it's cute and silly that she faints, she's really easygoing with children. So I've been able to bring her into schools with me. She's done work with agriculture in the classroom. So she's exactly what we were looking for.
Great carburetors.
Oh yeah. So that was one of the reasons why we went for goats, is because they're instant compost. Come on up, 2 of you up. Good job!
There's always a snicker or two whenever it happens, because it always happens at a very inconvenient or comical time generally.
Yeah, it's never a tense situation when all of a sudden the goat tips over.
Might have to get me a goat just for the composting. All right, we'll be back in a few moments with more national and international news. Stick with us. Canada's third wave of COVID-19 is hitting a younger population and filling up beds in intensive care. All last week in Canada, there's been a steady rise in the 17-day average of ICU occupancy, and most indicators say the trend is going to build. As Carolyn Dunn reports, there is growing worry over dwindling resources.
A quick photo to mark the moment. Benita and Nazaman Khan are about to get their first vaccine.
It's best to take the shot than get taken out by the COVID-19, right?
But in today's race between vaccines and the variants, there are many places in Canada where the virus is winning. For the third straight day, Saskatchewan has a record number of ICU admissions. Even in New Brunswick, where case numbers are low, this hospital is nearing capacity.
We would not really want to have to see this situation arise where COVID positive patients would be transferred outside the zone, especially when we're seeing this as being most of the cases are the UK variant.
In southern Ontario, hundreds of patients have already been shuttled from one hospital to the next, as some operate above capacity. This Toronto area critical care doctor says the third wave is different.
We're seeing people in their 30s and 40s and 50s, and these are people that don't get sick from the flu or from pneumonia to the point of needing the ventilator.
Younger people who aren't yet vaccinated and those who must work outside the home are particularly vulnerable to catching and rapidly spreading COVID variants. Those variants tend to make people sicker, putting a strain on hospitals and healthcare workers.
I mean, we've been going for a year, and we have less and less people to do the work currently.
The concern is that some Canadians who will need intensive care might not be able to get it.
You know, I think we're still trying to bargain with the virus and still trying to, do these half measures with the hope that things will be different this time.
Carolyn Dunn, CBC News, Calgary.
And today, Ontario reported its fourth straight day with roughly 3,000 new cases of COVID-19. And the number of patients critically ill there has hit yet another record high. As Mike Crawley reports, prominent public health doctors are telling the province more needs to be done to get the situation under control.
The parking lot of a Mississauga shopping mall packed on this Easter Monday, and a steady stream of shoppers heading inside. If you don't think this looks like a lockdown or shutdown, you're not alone. More and more public health experts say the emergency brake the province imposed over the weekend will be ineffective at slowing the rapid spread of COVID-19 in hotspots. The top public health doctors in Toronto, Ottawa, and Peel region are formally asking Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health for stronger measures.
The third wave is hitting harder, it's hitting more severely, and it is also impacting people who are younger.
These doctors are calling for a province-wide stay-at-home order. They want Ontario's list of essential businesses reviewed and those that shouldn't be there dropped. They want staffing at essential workplaces capped at 50%, travel restrictions imposed between regions, and emergency legislation for paid sick days.
we know that we are not going to be able to vaccinate our way out of this in time.
Toronto's mayor is also asking the government to bring in tougher restrictions.
We have to sit down and have that discussion now. I think we need to have it in a very open and honest way without any fear of the criticism that can come.
These calls for stronger public health measures come with Ontario reporting more than 12,000 cases of COVID-19 in a 4-day stretch. That hasn't happened since mid-January. The province has also hit yet another record for COVID-19 patients in intensive care. This infectious disease specialist says the province's emergency brake won't curb the spread of COVID-19 in essential workplaces such as factories and warehouses.
And so you're exactly missing the biggest driver that we're seeing right now. And I'm worried that if we don't do something to address this directly, we're not going to see an effect in bringing the cases down.
No provincial cabinet ministers were available for an interview today. The spokesperson for the health minister says the province has provided workplaces with more than 4 million rapid test kits, but did not say how many of them have actually been used. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
The trial of the man accused in the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis entered its second week today. The court heard from the chief of police about the professional policy that every officer, including Derek Chauvin, must sign.
It's really about treating people with dignity and respect.
Could you read the first bullet, please?
The first bullet reads, "Be courteous, respectful, polite, and professional."
And if you would then also read the third bullet.
Ensure that the length of any detention is no longer than necessary to take appropriate action for the known or suspected offense.
Madaria Arredondo says officers receive annual training reminding them of department policies. It includes giving first aid to people who need medical care. Arredondo fired Chauvin and the 3 officers involved in the death of Floyd last May. He was the first Black person to lead the city's police force when he took the job in 2017. And at 6:20, a live shot downtown Vancouver looking over to the North Shore. Another gorgeous day on the South Coast, looking like another day of sunshine tomorrow. And then, well, Johanna will break the news next.
No egg is the same. Everyone is unique. Pesenka is the tradition of writing Ukrainian Easter eggs. Pesenka is actually a verb to translate into writing, and it dates back to the pre-Christian era. It gave me a real connection to my culture. My great aunt taught me. She was 99 when she passed away in 2008. She was taught by her mother before and her mother before that, and they came from Ukraine, and it was such a deep, meaningful tradition to do at Easter. And I'm proud to say that I'm able to carry it on. When Ukrainians were moving into North America in the late 1800s and early 1900s, they brought the customs with them. That was almost completely wiped out by the Soviets during some pretty dark times. I use a variety of chicken eggs. I prefer to get chicken eggs from either direct from a farm or from the Hutterites. I also have a couple of turkey eggs and some goose eggs that I've done in the past. Each one, the shells are treated specially, and each egg is blown out where all the insides are removed so that you're able to preserve the egg forever. I hollow out the eggs before because it is very heartbreaking after spending hours on a design when you go to hollow it out afterwards, taking the insides out, and it cracks on you. Each pesenka takes hours of tiny lines to complete. You have to be very patient. In between each layer, you then have a new color, and you can't start right away. You need to wait for the color to dry before you're able to keep on writing. And you continue this until you get to your darkest color. Each egg I would say minimum anywhere from 5 to 9 hours, depending on the size and the intricacy. This is the best part. You can see all the hard work, all the hours you put in, and see how it translated. This egg here was a duplicate of one that I sent to the Pacinka Museum in Kolomea. I never considered myself an artist until recently when someone told me I was an artist. I always just considered myself a hobbyist. And now that I've been able to send one, I actually truly feel like a piece of me is out there to help represent my family, represent their history, and have a little piece of my art out there.
"63 years ago today, the underwater mountain known as Ripple Rock was blown to smithereens just north of Campbell River. The explosion was a major engineering feat, years in the making, and it was the first TV event broadcast live across Canada through CBC News. Here's a look back at the historic day. And just a note, we think the beeping is part of the countdown to the big blast.
Good morning. My name is Bill Herbrick, and with me is Ted Reynolds, and it's our lucky chore to be with you to describe for you the largest man-made non-nuclear blast in history, in peacetime history. Now, Ted, I wonder if you'd like to locate our position more completely, please?
You bet, Bill. Good morning. Out beyond us, you can see the villain of the piece, or the hero of the piece, as the case may be. Yonder lies Ripple Rock, 7,000 feet from us. Where is it? Well, for the benefit of those of you from other than the coast of British Columbia, this map will perhaps locate us for you. You can see the U.S.-Canada border here and Vancouver. Ripple Rock is 125 air miles from Vancouver.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
There it went. It went up with a massive mushrooming explosion that towered well up above the heights of land on both sides, 4, 5, perhaps 600 feet. It just kept rolling and rolling. The concussion wave hit us. It was 6 seconds after the first actual impact. An awe-inspiring sight.
Awe-inspiring sight indeed. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I could watch 63-year-old footage of that explosion every year. We should keep that up.
Absolutely. I feel like that is something that you would watch every year.
Yeah, it's true. A new tradition, Anita, I think. As we head into, let's write that one down. As we head into what is the end for many people of a long weekend, if you had the Monday off as well. It was a gorgeous one out there. As we said earlier, blue skies, chilly temperatures. I do have to track the approaching showers out. So let me take you to the big picture. I think we can see Ripple Rock on this map as well. To locate you more precisely. The high pressure that brought us the gorgeous weather, that's sinking southeast, and that little front will be tracking down the coast. This isn't the one that brings us the showers, though. It's sort of dissipating over the next 24 hours. So we just have a few more clouds with that system tomorrow. But we're going to go from an all blue sky Monday to a mainly cloudy Tuesday. Still lots of sunny breaks out there. It's Wednesday that this next front moves in, and it will drag some cooler air down across the province for the second half of the week. week. We may even see, we'll see some more snow for the mountain ranges, and watching that closely for Vancouver Island for the second half of the week. Lots of sunshine, though, as you can see tomorrow across the province before that front gets down to the southern interior. So taking you through the next 5 days, we've got a 12 tomorrow, again with a mix of sun and cloud. Wednesday showers all day, and that will come with a bit of a cool down. Temperatures down to 9. Look at those overnight lows. They are quite cool through the morning hours. I know we're itching to do our full-on planting, but we may have a few more frost days this week. Back to the sunshine for Thursday, and then it looks like another system will skirt through for Friday before back to the sunshine for Saturday. So a bit of an on again, off again forecast. Kind of perfect for everyone who loves anything.
I was just going to say, a day of sun, a day of rain, a day of sun. It's great. No problem.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of forecast where most people will be happy. Those are rare. Let's also mark this day.
Done. It's in the calendar.
Okay,
Thanks,
good.
Joe. And you can
You're
always
welcome.
find our news program online, cbc.ca/BC. Our next local news is right here tomorrow night at 6 p.m. And Mike will be back with the two of us. Have a good night.
See you then.